Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer with you here on a Thursday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Alondra Villarreal, Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Lots happening in the world of sports, and we're happy to get to it here. From 1 to 3, Stefan Krajnik covers Mississippi State for the Jackson Clarion Ledger. It's been a crazy week up in Starkville, and obviously the news came yesterday that Mississippi State is going to promote interim head coach Zach Arnett to full-time head coach. Stefan has covered Mike Leach for a year up there. He has been around for the week that has been in Starkville, and I want to get his thoughts not only on Mike Leach, but the direction of Mississippi State's program from here under new head coach Zach Arnett. It's early, and I don't know that he's got a ton of finite answers, but you can certainly get a feel for what's going on up there, and that relates to LSU because you figure Mississippi State will be on LSU's schedule far more often than it will not moving forward. Any kind of simulation that you've seen, any kind of prediction that you've seen as far as how the scheduling will work in the Southeastern Conference moving forward, Mississippi State and LSU usually paired together. So get Stefan's thoughts on the week that has been in Starkville coming up in about 15 minutes. Luke Johnson, his normal Thursday spot at 1:30, talking Saints. Injury report's got 13 guys on it. They're going with Andy Dalton. What does the offensive line look like, and how motivated is this team to play Atlanta on Sunday? We'll get Luke's thoughts at 1:30. That McMahon show was yesterday. Got some sound from him as the Tigers move forward to their game on Saturday. We'll talk about that in the second hour. And then David Grubb from Hard in the Paint going to talk some Saints as well as more Pelicans as they retip things off in Utah tonight. So we'll talk to David at 2:30. But if you have not paid attention to the world of sports today, you just jumped in your car, was the case with someone I just went to lunch with who hadn't been paying attention this morning. The Citrus Bowl is thrown off the axis. It is absolutely up for grabs at this point from the Purdue side of things. What do I mean? Well, since this morning when I woke up, Purdue's starting quarterback, Aiden O'Connell, has decided he's not playing in the game. Their number one wide receiver, Charlie Jones, has decided, I'm not playing in the game either. Their tight end, who's second on the team in receptions, Payne Durham, said, I'm out. And they got a new coach. Not a new head coach, but a coach nonetheless. Drew Brees is going to jump in and help them right the ship and get ready for this bowl game over the next couple of weeks. Let's start with why this is all happening before we get to the impact on the field against LSU. There are some rumblings, and this is going to happen multiple times every single year while we have the system in place that we do, with the transfer portal open when it is, with the early signing period when it is, with the bowl games where they are, and the playoff where it is. This is going to happen a lot of places. This is far from an indictment on Purdue. It's just they're caught up in the calendar that is college football. But their head coach, Jeff Brom, decided right after the regular season he was leaving. He's gone. He is no longer in West Lafayette. He's recruiting for Louisville. Some of his staff is going to join him in Louisville. The question is, if you're the Purdue administration, what do I have here for this staff for the next month? The question from the Purdue players is, how much do these guys care, and how much are they house shopping in Louisville and looking around for other places, other players to come play for them at Louisville? Who cares about this game? There's a lot of smoke around that in West Lafayette. There's just not a ton of investment in this bowl game from anyone. Players transferring out, coaches looking for other ways. Even if they're not going to Louisville, are they staying at Purdue, or do they need to be interviewing for jobs? Talking to coaches that have taken jobs, talking to places they've been, using their connections in the industry to find a new gig for next year. There's just very little buy-in in West Lafayette right now is the word. So this is not totally unexpected. But it's a big deal for this 3-hour football game on the 2nd of January. How big? Aiden McConnell, senior quarterback at Purdue, 320 of 499. He's completing 64% of his throws for 3,490 yards and 22 touchdowns this year. He's throwing for 290 a game, 22 touchdowns. Has thrown 13 picks, but he is what makes this offense go. The Purdue identity under Jeff Brom has been spread the field, get in the gun, throw it around. It's the Petrino system from Louisville. It's a fun and gun type deal. And Aiden McConnell has been their guy under center or behind center, as it were. And he's gone. Charlie Jones is their number one wide receiver. If you're just a Joe LSU fan who watches the Tigers and going to turn on Ole Miss, Mississippi State on Thanksgiving and look, there's the Florida Ole Miss game. I'll turn that on too in September. And you don't pay attention to the Big Ten, kind of like me. I don't know who Charlie Jones is. Who's Charlie Jones? Charlie Jones leads the nation in yards receiving this year. Leads the nation. 1,361 yards for Charlie Jones. He's got 12 touchdowns. That's tied for fourth in the country. He's been about as productive as a receiver as there is in college football. He's not playing in this game. So what do they have after Charlie Jones? Well, their next leading receiver is their tight end, Payne Durham. He's out. See ya. 56 catches, 560 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He's gone. Durham and Jones accounted for 51% of their receiving yards this year. Their second leading wide receiver, who will now become their number one, had 39 catches and 3 touchdowns this year. Their starting quarterback and their top 2 pass catchers are gone. Now, I looked at, okay, well, who's their quarterback going to be then? Might as well give a look at it. Best I can tell, it's going to be Austin Burton. Austin Burton's a 6th-year senior. He was in the recruiting class of 2017 at UCLA. Now, for some perspective on the class of 2017, Justin Jefferson was in LSU's class of 2017. Austin Deculus was in LSU's class of 2017. Miles Brennan was in LSU's class of 2017. That's the year Austin Burton entered college football. So he's a 3-star recruit, went to UCLA, did not take a snap or get on the field at all in 2017 or 2018. In 2019, he got 1 start for UCLA. They played Oregon State. He was 27 of 41 for 236 yards. He ran it 15 times for 64. Who cares? He started 1 game in 19. Did not play in the COVID year of 20. Everything was crunched down in the Pac-12. They didn't play many games. He didn't play at all. So he transferred to Purdue. Last year, he played in 3 games. He threw 7 passes. And this year, O'Connell was unavailable in the Florida Atlantic game, so he did start the game. He started 1 game in 6 years. It was Florida Atlantic this year. Florida Atlantic, by the way, 107th in the nation in total defense. Not exactly the Steel Curtain. Not exactly the 85 Bears. Wasn't really Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens. I watched the tape of the game. He was 24 of 32, 3 touchdowns and a pick. He actually carried the ball a bunch in that game. In the year, he's carried it 26 times for 80 yards. But it was a really safe game plan. He threw a bunch of swing passes. He's fine. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. He can run a little bit. He's not shifty. He doesn't have a great arm. He's fine. But more so than O'Connell being out and Jones being out and Durham being out and the coaching staff being, the program is checked out. I'm not suggesting that Purdue has no chance to go to the Citrus Bowl and beat LSU. They're going to suit some guys up. They're probably going to play pretty hard while they're out there. But the fact of the matter is that program is not committed to this game on any level. The line moved 4 points. It was a 10-point line. Now it's 14. So LSU becomes a massive favorite in this game. And again, it's really not an indictment on Purdue. They're caught up in today's world of college football where we've put these bowl games at the end of December and the beginning of January, and everybody makes their next move the first week of December, and then you just got to play it out for a month, and half the teams are faking it. Purdue's going to be faking it. Now, they brought in Drew Brees, and my petition for this game, quite frankly, let Brees play quarterback. You want to make this an interesting game? I'd rather see Brees play than freaking Austin Burton. I don't care about that. Can we do that? Let's bring some excitement back to these games. I'd rather see Brees taking snaps. But he's not. He's just going to go in there and watch some tape and help the sixth-year senior quarterback play. You know, I was way older than everybody at one point playing quarterback. Here's what you do. But I think it's cool for the Purdue program to have him back there. I think it's likely that Brees is going to take a little money for this, considering he wanted money from LSU to read a hype video in 2019. But good on Purdue for making that happen. I think the reason it's happening is because they're light on coaches. A lot of folks looking other places, a lot of folks looking at Louisville. They need some help, and they're going to get it. But Purdue's going to play this game without its engine on offense, to be quite frank. And LSU's a massive favorite in the game and should be. When LSU comes out of the tunnel on the 2nd of January, I'll be excited and ready to roll. It'll be on TV. I'll have done the pregame show. Tigers coming out in the gold helmets, white jerseys. I'll be excited because they're playing football. The reality is that this game is a charade. Last year's Texas Bowl was a charade. This game's a charade. Purdue's going to be playing it very short-handed. And to this point, we think LSU is going to be fairly well-equipped to play in the game, from best we can tell. But again, this day and age, you never really know. Got a lot of news to get to. Javian Taviano commits to the LSU Tigers. Talk about that in hour number 2. Luke Johnson talking Saints coming up at 1:30. My best win in the NFL and worst loss in the NFL to finish up this hour. Matt McMahon show sound from last night. Also with David Grubb from Hard in the Paint talking a little bit of Pelicans. So loads to get to. Stefan Krajnik from the Jackson Clarion Ledger when we come back talking about Mike Leach and this new era of Mississippi State football under new head coach Zach Arnett. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Winter can be magical. The Mercedes-Benz Winter Event is here, and there's no better time to check out our new Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge inventory. We have the vehicles that can make your holiday extraordinary. See all the latest technological features on the newest models during our Mercedes-Benz Winter Event. Shop our best of the best award-winning dealership. Visit mbobr.com.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
Do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Up on Friday's OTB, the final tune-up before Saints Falcons in the Dome. Plus, bowl season starts, and we'll have some picks for you. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You know, one of the perks of doing this show is you get to hear a couple T-Bob promos every single day, and they're always goofy, and they make me laugh. That one just did, for no reason whatsoever. Thanks for brightening my day, T-Bob. Send on out to the phone line, Jim's Firearms Hotline. Stefan Krajnik covers Mississippi State for the Jackson Clarion Ledger. He joins us now. The eyes of the college football world, unfortunately, have been on Starkville over the last week, and Stefan's been there every step of the way. Stefan, thanks so much for your time. What's the energy like in Starkville right now?
Yeah, I mean the energy is as you would expect. I mean this whole week, and it's finally sunny and nicer out today. But really, this whole week it's been gloomy and rainy as people have kind of started to handle the emotions that have come with the death of Mike Leach, and there's a lot of people in Starkville who really. He had a lot of fans at Starkville. He had a lot of people who thought that he was a perfect fit, for this university and for this state, in terms of being a football coach, but in terms of, being a person away from the football field. He got to know, a lot of fans got to know him. A lot of, obviously the players and the staff got really close with him, and it's been a tough week in Starkville. There's no doubt about that. What was covering him like week to week? It was you really never knew what to expect, right? I mean. You knew that he'd probably be late walking into a press conference, but the reason behind why he was a guy that didn't really care too much about showing on time is because he knew things in life were more important than being in that exact second in that press conference room. He always said they're not going to start without me, so what's the point of rushing and making sure I'm there? I mean he was generous with his time. He was great to talk to when he would step off of the stage and away from the podium. He always had something interesting to give you. He was interested in your life, would ask you questions about yourself. So he was a guy that cared a lot about the people who were around him, whether he was close with them or not. And I definitely, will look back upon this time in my life fondly of getting the opportunity to cover a man like that. What do you know about the football program's decision to play in the bowl game? I went through the entire SEC bowl schedule on Tuesday and said, look, I'll be frank, I'm not sure if they'll play this one or not. And they decided pretty quickly after that to do so. Yeah, and from all accounts, it really sounded like, the people on the outside, like myself, were wondering whether they would play. And on the inside, there was never really much of a doubt that they wanted to play this game because a lot of the players and coaches felt like Mike would want them to play this game. They're getting back to practice tomorrow and kind of trying to get back to somewhat of a normal routine with Zach Arnett, at the helm now. Obviously, the focus for this part, and, I can imagine how tough it's been for the staff having to do some of these in-home visits is, they're all over the country, doing visits and recruiting with signing day coming up, but at the same time, you're trying to prepare for a bowl game that you want to play in, and you're also trying to, balance all the emotions that come with what, Mississippi State has been feeling. So it seems like, though, there was never really a doubt. They wanted to play this game for Mike, and starting tomorrow, the turnaround kind of begins. It's tough, but you got to move forward now.
Stefan Krajnik is our guest, covers Mississippi State for the Jackson Clarion Ledger. LSU fans familiar with Zach Arnett. Of course, he's been the coordinator at Mississippi State, but he also interviewed here when LSU was looking for a coordinator a couple of years ago. What makes him the man for the job?
I think part of it is, Mike Leach did a great job of giving a lot of autonomy to his coaches. Even the guys on the offensive side of the ball, yeah, Mike Leach had the final call, but, his receivers coaches, his running backs coaches, they were all very involved with the day-to-day and the play calling. And then on the defensive side especially, Zach Arnett has basically been, head coach, 1A or 1B to Mike Leach throughout Leach's tenure, just because of how much control he's had over the defense. The schemes that he's wanted to run have kind of been, all up to Arnett and doing what he wants to do. So he's a guy that he doesn't have any head coaching experience. He spent a lot of time, first as a GA and then, as a linebackers coach and then as a defensive coordinator at San Diego State before Mike Leach hired him in 2020. So he's only really been a position coach and a defensive coordinator. So it's going to be interesting to see, how he goes forward as a head coach. But I think part of what made Mississippi State, so confident in making this hire and doing it so quick is that, you look at Mike Leach's coaching tree, it's probably second only to Nick Saban, and maybe you could even make the case in some ways better than Nick Saban. So I think there's a lot of trust that Mississippi State had in saying this is a coach who, his assistants have gone on to do really successful things, and we think Zach Arnett, can be the next guy. And he'll have some interesting hires coming up if he wants to go out and get an offensive coordinator, or if he wants to get a defensive coordinator as well, what he wants to do, being a head coach, how he wants to go about it. But the guys that are on staff right now, if they all stick around, like I presume they probably will, there's a lot of guys that are familiar and have had big roles, under Mike Leach to be able to kind of step up and fill that void a bit.
I'm curious as to, and this is impossible for you to know, I would imagine, but whether or not Zach Arnett wants to continue with the air raid style of offense on that side of the football. There are a lot of coaches that know it. Obviously, a lot of coaches on that staff that have coached under Mike Leach that you could promote from within. What's your take on how Mississippi State's offense may look in the future?
Yeah, and then I'll speculate a bit just because we haven't had the opportunity, obviously, to really speak with Arnett about anything about him head coaching wise. But I would assume, based on the personnel that Mississippi State has right now and the coaches that it has on staff right now, at least going into next season, it's going to look very similar. I think they're going to have a lot of the same pieces, especially with quarterback Will Rogers back next year. I think it'll be an air raid scheme, at least for next season. Now, when Zach Arnett starts, kind of running his own thing, and at some point you got to figure out what's working, what's not, because, he's going to be a head coach that's trying to keep his own job. Does that change? Do you look to go a different direction? That's definitely going to be a decision that he's going to have to make in the future. But at least for the time being, it's hard to imagine that Mississippi State, does anything else in 2023.
Forgive me, I should probably done a little bit of research on this, but who made the decision to hire Zach Arnett as the full-time coach, and what is hiring an athletic director? What does that timetable look like in Starkville?
Yeah, so based on the reports I'd seen, the timetable for hiring an athletic director, it was paused. The interview process was paused a bit when the news of Mike Leach's death had come out, and I'm sure University President Mark Keenum was really the point guy on getting Arnett in and making sure that he was the guy that was hired as the head coach. And along with there's a lot of trust in interim athletic director Bracky Brett as well. He's been around Mississippi State for a really long time, working in the compliance department. So Mark Keenum was definitely the point guy there as a university president. He's been really involved with the athletic department, and he's a guy that's really involved with the college football playoffs. So he's trusted, and he knows a lot of people in the industry who he probably got advice from on how to make the next move and how to move forward. So he was the point man on that, and certainly guys like Bracky Brett, the interim AD, played a big part as well.
One more here as we change gears a little bit. Mississippi State basketball off to a really nice start up there under Coach Jans. How for real do you think this team is?
I think it's a team that's a legitimate NCAA tournament team. I think they're going to get in just because of the resume that they have so far, and you look at what's ahead with SEC play. I mean, Mississippi State has a good chance of being 12-0 going into SEC play with a top 10 net ranking. You probably just need to win probably 8, maybe even 7 SEC games make yourself a tournament team and be on the right side of the bubble. So I think they're a legit team just because it's the cliche, right? Defense travels, and they've had probably, if not the best, a top 5 defense in the nation early on. So Chris Jansen's done a really good job of that. The problem is that at times the offense does get really stagnant. They don't have a shooter that they can turn to, and I think that'll be a problem, as competition really, picks up in SEC play. They're going to have some issues. There are going to be some nights where, the defense is shaky and the offense can't make up for it, and it ends up, being an ugly loss or something along those lines. But I think for at least year one, there's a lot of Mississippi State fans that are happy with already what they've gotten. And if this is a team that makes a tournament, in year one under Jans for the first time since 2019, it's a good building stone, building block, I should say, going into, how you use the transfer portal and whatnot, and how, Jans has his own recruiting classes moving forward.
Stefan, I know this week's been crazy for you. Really appreciate some time.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
He's Stefan Krajnik from the Jackson Clarion Ledger. Just a week no one in Starkville will ever forget, and I think it's they've handled it about as well as you can. I mentioned this yesterday. I'm thrilled they're going to play in the bowl game. I think that's good for the college kids to get on a plane, to go to Florida, and to go play football. And I never knew Mike Leach, wouldn't pretend to know Mike Leach. I'm not going to throw some cliche out there. I do believe that Mike Leach would tell the guys, get on a plane and go play football. And that's what they're going to do. I think that's a very, very good thing. And I'm curious to see what Zach Arnett does with this football program. The air raid is certainly not something that – there are a lot of coaches that can run this type of thing. That Leach tree runs all over the place. And so you can find guys that can run that if you want that to be the identity of your football program. And I don't think that's a bad idea, recruiting to Starkville, Mississippi. If you think you can sell a really functional quarterback on that system, he can pretty much drive the bus. That's what we've seen time and time and time again on Mike Leach. I remember when we were preparing for the 2020 Mississippi State LSU game. It was Leach's first game. Obviously, we all remember it. Costello set the record in Tiger Stadium for SEC passing yards in a game. And I went through Mike Leach's quarterbacks year over year over year. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's Gardner Minshew or Cliff Kingsbury or Sonny Cumbie or Graham Harrell or Will Rogers. It does not matter who the quarterback is. The numbers look almost exactly the same every single year. And that's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world at Ohio State or, name your blue blood school, but at places that struggle with an identity and struggle with consistency in their program, that's what you need, which is why it worked at Texas Tech, worked at Washington State, and has worked at Mississippi State to the tune of about 8 or 9 wins a year. And that's what he's produced. So, you're going to have to find somebody that knows it not quite as well as Leach does, but there are guys that can run that show. So I'm curious to see if Zach Arnett goes to it or if he wants to change the identity of that offense a little bit. Be curious to see, but appreciate Stefan for a little bit of time here on a Thursday. Luke Johnson, going to change gears, talk Saints. They're getting ready for the Falcons. Injury report is loaded. They've named a starting quarterback. Got a lot to get to with Luke. Coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer.
Start NFL Week 15 off right with a same-game parlay insurance from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account, you'll get free bets back if your 4+ leg parlay on Thursday night falls 1 leg short. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. Christian McCaffrey rushing yards, Geno Smith passing yards. You can build your own or choose from one of the popular same-game parlays pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. However you want to play, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night with the same-game parlay. Sign up with that promo code 1045ESPN if you don't already have an account. If you have FanDuel, you're all set. Sign in and see what you've got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Refund issued, non-withdrawable free bets. Expires 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $25. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're somebody who knows a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150, plus no payments for 90 days and 2.9% APR for 72 months. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 96 calories.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along here on a Thursday. Got some sound from the Matt McMahon Show coming up in hour number 2. Chatted with Chris Blair about a few things to get ready for 2 more non-conference games and then conference play fast and furious at the end of December. Talking black and gold here. Head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke Johnson joins us. Luke, how was your off week?
It was great. Got a chance to go up home to Wisconsin, saw some snow, which was great to see snow and not live in snow. Didn't even have to shovel anything. So look, it was really, really nice to get away from what has been, a depressing season overall.
It has not been great. Then you look at the injury report yesterday, saw 13 names on it. But it appears the offensive line might be fairly intact for this weekend. Is that what you expect?
Yeah. I fully expect Eric McCoy to play. And then when you consider, Trevor Penning's been working his way into the mix, they're going to have their top 6 offensive linemen probably for the first time all season. So, and I know they had a bunch of names on the injury report yesterday, but I'd actually anticipate this will be, about as healthy as they've been this entire year. Obviously you don't have guys like Michael Thomas in there, and Jameis Winston hasn't played since week 3, but I think they're going to have a pretty loaded deck going up against Falcons.
What do you think Penning's role is moving forward?
I would just anticipate they keep using him in this kind of jumbo role. It's pretty hard as an offensive lineman. I mean, it's hard generally when you're talking about a guy who played at Northern Iowa, making the jump to the NFL. But then when you add in the fact that he was sidelined for several months, and that's time he was not able to really develop or even practice his skills. I think it's best to just kind of keep him in that short burst role, let him get his feet wet, and then I think next year you just plan on him probably taking over that left tackle job.
That would be a good thing for the black and gold, who could use some cheap players playing very well in the near future. Running back, we think Mark Ingram's done for the season, maybe done for longer than that. What do you think the running back rotation looks like starting on Sunday?
Well, first of all, I think you got to get Alvin Kamara going.
Yeah.
I was just looking back at the numbers. His last 5 games, he's averaging less than 3 yards a carry. I think he's averaging less than 60 yards a game total overall. That's not going to cut it. He's one of the best players on your team, and when he's going right, he's one of the best players in the National Football League. They've faced some pretty good defenses. They have been without one of their best offensive linemen, Eric McCoy. It's made things challenging, but Atlanta's given up 150 yards rushing, 150 or more in 5 of their last 6 games. They're a really bad run defense. I'd expect Alvin to have a big workload and get back on track. And then beyond him, I think you probably see a pretty healthy dose of David Johnson, and maybe even sneak a couple reps in there for Benjamin, who they just claimed off waivers yesterday. He's practicing with the team for the first time today.
I work with a lot of former LSU players throughout the week and throughout football season, and I hear Hester talk about their games with Florida and how they just hated them, and I hear Brandon Taylor talk about his games against Alabama and how they just hated Alabama. That doesn't carry over to the NFL. Guys play on different teams all the time. There's a little bit more respect at that point, a little more maturity at that point. But do you get the sense that some of the people in the Saints building really don't like the Falcons?
Yeah, I think they at least don't want to lose to the Falcons.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there's like the level of animosity that there is like at in college programs, but they definitely want to win this game. I mean, there actually is motivation to not lose to your rival. It's funny, you hear like Cam Jordan talk about it every now and then. He's just like, other teams come and go in spurts. Like the Panthers were good for a couple of years with Cam Newton. Everybody's like, is this the Saints' new rival? The Buccaneers the last couple of years have been some pretty testy games between those two. But he was like, it's never the same as going up against the Falcons. He was saying this, I think, as they were going up against the Bucs. So there's a level there of I don't know if it's just like dislike, but it's definitely a little bit more amped up competitive fire in these games. They really, really want to beat the Falcons. That's the same anytime they play them.
I enjoy Cam Jordan's interviews whenever I get a chance to hear them, because he's been around a long time. He's got some great perspective, and he'll talk. So what has he been like this year in press conferences, whether it's after games or in the week, as things have kind of gone the way that they really haven't gone his entire way in New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, after games, Cam is like a very quirky guy, really kind of a funny guy. But that's not going to show after games. He's been pretty, I guess despondent is probably the right way to put it. A couple expletives thrown in there, talk about how much the season has sucked. I think it's been tough on him. He's been in the league for 12 years now, and he's been a part of some bad teams, some bad defenses, but this has been up to this point the worst one yet, just in terms of the overall team record. But I think he's still throughout the week. He's been pretty upbeat, and he's been his usual self, and somebody who can give you some really good perspective when he's choosing to answer the questions that way and not just kind of goofing off as he tends to do sometimes.
Let me ask you a tough question for a news reporter, because you're more reporting facts as opposed to kind of speculating on things. But I'm going to ask you to speculate here on the radio. If you were able to pour a bourbon and sit in Dennis Allison's office, closed door, what do you think he would tell you about this season? Would he lean on injuries? Would you say, I just haven't done as good enough job, or I'm not sure? What do you think he would say?
Like if I injected him with some truth serum?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it has been a challenging season for a lot of things, with things being out of the Saints' control. But if he was brutally honest about things, I think he'd probably acknowledge his own role in some of this. I think the fact that they've had some of these same problems just crop up over and over and over and over again. Whether it's penalties or turnovers or players just not making plays at crucial moments of the game. That was absolutely why they lost against Tampa, right? They had 3 opportunities to make game-changing catches, dropped all of them. Their, one of their veteran running backs ducked out of bounds a yard shy of the line of scrimmage late in the game. Like, it's not a coaching point to have guys catch the ball, but when you have the same sort of errors popping up over and over again, that has to fall on somebody. And I think he would, if he was speaking honestly, he'd probably say like he has not done a good enough job this year. Just being brutally honest. So, I think they still have. I don't think they have. Their chances of winning the division are just like very, very small, almost impossible, right? But I do think that in these last 4 games, you can at least salvage something out of this season. So it's not just a complete disaster, right? You can show, okay, they got some guys back healthy. They have a couple winnable games left on the schedule. I think all 3 out of the 4 teams they have are very beatable teams. I think you can show that he's not just completely in over his head if he can get his team to find something here in these last 4 games. That'll be a challenge, right? I mean, that's a big challenge for a first-year coach to get a veteran team to buy in when it's playing out the string. So, I think these are really important games for him.
I'm looking at a Panthers team that fired its coach and had an XFL guy playing quarterback. I'm looking at the Bucs, who have had a terrible season and have a 49-year-old quarterback. I'm looking at the Falcons, who are throwing Desmond Ridder out there this week. I'm looking at the Saints. I asked Sharif this earlier this week. Starting with September of 23, next year, if I gave you the next 2 seasons, what NFC South team would you bet wins the most regular season games over those 2 seasons?
I'd probably say the Falcons, honestly. I think they're out of all of these organizations, they have the most positive upward trend. I think Arthur Smith is a really good coach. I think he's done a very good job with that team this year that frankly is not very good.
Yep.
They don't have very many impact players, and I think if they can figure out a quarterback, they're going to have probably a top 7 pick. If they can figure out a quarterback, I think they'll be in pretty good shape. Saints. I mean, it's really, really tough to figure out where this team's going to go, right? I think there's uncertainty at head coach, there's uncertainty at quarterback, but you look at some of these pieces, they still have some pretty good pieces, and they've been right there in so many games this year where if not for just bizarre meltdown, they lose the game. You could very easily see a way for this team to be, with a winning record leading the division right now if they wouldn't have made some really just unusual, unforced errors. So, I think it'd probably go, for me, Falcons, Saints, Panthers, Bucs. I think the Bucs are in trouble.
I would tend to agree with that Bucs sentiment. I think the top of the division is just a crapshoot. I just don't know. There's so much uncertainty and so much bad, quite frankly, that it's hard to decipher. Which is good if you're a Saints fan. It gives you a little bit of hope.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably why I'd be just astonished if they just decided to blow everything up this offseason. I mean, it's the same reason they decided to be aggressive and go in on this year's, because they knew the division was going to be bad. So yeah, I just would not expect a teardown, and I think the Saints fans should be happy about that, because teardowns rarely work out the way you want them to in the NFL.
That is right, Luke. We appreciate the time. Enjoy the football Sunday. Talk to you next week.
Sounds good, man.
That is Luke Johnson from The Advocate, covering the black and gold, @ByLukeJohnson on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, look, I can pretty easily find you a way that they could have beaten the Bucs. That's one win that you just gave away. You lost on the upright against the Vikings in London. That's another one. You were one play away from beating the Bengals and couldn't get it done there late. That's a third one. And you don't have to find that many wins on this schedule to find yourself in a decent spot. The fact of the matter is, you can do that with just about every schedule in the NFL where, we lost at a field goal on the gun there. We dropped an interception there that could have sealed the game. Or that's the case a lot of times. The fact of the matter is, the Saints keep losing, and that's a lot of people's fault that are going to have to answer for some things when this thing is over. But I think it's fascinating to look at the future of the NFC South with a Bucs team that loaded up and has some older players and a quarterback that's on his last leg, and that's okay to say, I promise. And a Panthers team that's in total disarray, a Saints team that looks in trouble, and a Falcons team that had so little expectation that they can sit here where they are right now, where they've benched their quarterback and are going with a rookie who's never played, and say, yeah, they're probably in the best spot. Well, How good a spot is that? It's not very good. So it's an absolutely wide open division, and it's historically bad this season. Someone ran a simulation. You don't have to work too hard because there's only a month left in the season, where every team finished with 6 wins. I mean, it's just absolutely brutal. So that's our look at the black and gold. We'll talk a little bit of Saints with David Grubb coming up in the second hour. Talk a little bit more Pels as they play in Utah. Javian Toviano commits to LSU. We'll talk about that in the second hour. Matt McMahon's show last night. Want to talk a little LSU hoops as well. When we come back, we will close out our number one, best win and worst loss on the NFL board. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana each and every day here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. All December long, we are pumped up to tell you about Mimosa Handcrafted. Mimosa Handcrafted began when Madeline Ellis, she was a landscape architect, pursued her lifelong love of making jewelry. And that was a hobby, and her husband said, no, do it full time. And she has done it full time. And they've just opened their first brick and mortar location at 541 South Eugene, right next to Red Stick Reeds, and it's just in time for the holiday season. And the reason why Mimosa Handcrafted is a champion of Louisiana is because they donate 1% of every sale through their Goods for Good campaign that allows customers to select from charitable causes like the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank or the Mental Health Association for Greater Baton Rouge. When you purchase something from Mimosa Handcrafted, you also get to give back in the process. That's what makes Mimosa Handcrafted a champion of Louisiana. If you know someone who's a champion for Louisiana, whether it's a person, a nonprofit, a business, nominate them at lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, so we can tell their story right here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Love telling you about Mimosa Handcrafted and all the champions we've talked about all year long. Mimosa Handcrafted, December's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
Let's go, defense!
We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, we'll close up hour number one here. Best win and worst loss on the board in the National Football League this week. I will start with my best win. It's going to be the Lions at the Jets. The Lions could go on the road in the cold and beat the Jets. That would get the Lions to 7 wins on the season. They're playing really good football right now. And what's left on the Lions' schedule after this trip to the Jets is Panthers, Bears, and Packers. Those teams stink. The Panthers have no coach, no quarterback. The Bears never win. And the Packers may have quit by then in week 18. Who knows if Rodgers will even be out there. So that's manageable if you're Detroit. If you can go on the road and get this win, you'll get to 7 wins. And right now, seeds 6, 7, and 8 have 7 wins. Now, unfortunately for the Lions, the Giants and Commanders are 2 of those, and they have a tie. So you're going to have to overtake them in the win column because your loss column will be 1 short with that tie. But that would be huge for Dan Campbell, I think the Lions have kind of become the most likable team in the NFL. You get on Hard Knocks, there's some entertainment value there. Campbell's likable. He goes on his interview today and said he wasn't even paying attention. They threw a pass back to their tackle, and he was paying attention to something else. Plus, they're not a threat to anyone. Who hates the Lions? They've never beaten your team ever. I think they've lost every game they've ever played. Not necessarily technically, but basically. So I think they're the team that America's kind of pulling for a little bit. If they could win this game, that would be massive. Now, the worst loss is always the Texans. We did this last week with Dallas. They almost lost the daggum game. But I'm not going to go to the Texans every week for worst loss. We get it. The Texans suck. If you lose to them, that's bad. We'll go for something a little bit more nuanced. How's that? Worst loss in the NFL for me on Sunday is the Eagles losing at the Bears. If the Eagles go to the Bears and lose, all of a sudden, they play Dallas on Christmas Eve, and the Cowboys can tie them. If you can keep the Cowboys at arm's length, you're fine. You just go beat the Bears. You can beat them and knock them out. Or if you lose, you still got cushion. But if the Eagles go to Chicago and lose, all of a sudden, Dallas has a fighting chance to climb back in this thing. And that's what you don't want to have. The Eagles have played so well all year. They've been the best team in the league all year. They've been the most consistent team in the league all year. It would be very out of character for them to go lose to the Bears. But me personally, I don't care what they do. They've been carrying my fantasy team for a month and a half. I'm eliminated. I didn't make the playoffs by 1 game. Had Jalen Hurts. Had Miles Sanders. Had A.J. Brown. Don't care what they do now. I've already tabbed Hurts as my keeper, though. Guy scores just a bajillion points every week. Running all over the place. Love to see it. Don't care anymore. Worst loss on the board, the Eagles going to the Bears and getting beat. Best win on the board if the Lions could go on the road and beat the New York Jets. I believe Mike White be getting the call there in that one. So that's a segment we do each and every Thursday, best win, worst loss. Used to do it with some college football, but now the NFL is the only thing keeping us rolling, and they'll be keeping us occupied on Saturday this weekend because obviously college football now in the rearview mirror, about to get to bowl season. That'll do it for hour number 1 here on the Hunt Palmer Show. I want to remind you that you can check out dropbiscuit.com, browse our growing library. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to Pops, Fame, You Talking to Me, For the People, Well Stated, or whatever Southern flavored audio biscuit you may fancy. Dropbiscuit.com, our podcast home here at Guarantee Media. If you missed the first hour, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Click that on demand tab. You'll see my name right there. Fire away. All the segments, all the shows right there. Always find us on YouTube. Appreciate those hanging out in the Bayou 4 chat. Or you can find us on Apple Podcast or Spotify. I tell you each and every day, but more and more people listening on demand as they have a little bit more time. We appreciate y'all going and checking us out. If you could like you to rate, review, like all of our podcasts, subscribe as well. That helps us to get our content in front of more people, and we certainly appreciate that. Hour 2 going to be locked and loaded here on this Thursday. Matt McMahon had a few interesting things to say last night on his coach's show about some of his players, his rotation, some of the things that he's seen over the last couple of weeks. So we'll get to some of that sound at the top of the hour. LSU got a massive commitment today at a monster position of need. Javian Toviano commits to LSU as a defensive back. It was expected that LSU was in the lead there, but he did pull the trigger today, so that's exciting. And David Grubb from Hard in the Paint going to join us to talk a little about the Pels as they're back on the hardwood tonight up in Utah. We'll play Take It or Leave It to end the show as we do each and every day. So hope your Thursday is getting along just fine. Come back with us after Sports Center. You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've got that blue sky, I've got that sunshine.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports 49ers rookie quarterback Brock Purdy is expected to start tonight against the Seahawks to kick off Week 15 in Seattle. Purdy was listed as questionable with oblique and rib injuries. San Francisco wraps up the NFC West title with a win tonight. Saturday night, the Bills host the Dolphins, and there could be plenty of snow. Miami coach Mike McDaniel.
I don't see weather as something that you can lean on for an X, Y, or Z when you're competing. If a team allows it to be a thing, then it's a thing.
Mike McDaniel. The NCAA has a new president, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker, who finishes his second term in January. Baker starts with the NCAA in March, taking over from Mark Emmert. Baker played one season of college basketball at Harvard in the late 1970s. Three-time Wimbledon champ Boris Becker is now out of prison in England and back home in Germany. He spent 2.5 years in jail for hiding assets after declaring bankruptcy.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's like when you crank up hour 2 on this show on a Thursday, you're getting close to the weekend. I feel like the weekends come pretty fast and furious in December. There's holiday parties on Thursday night. Maybe some lunches you might be able to. The weeks go pretty quick in the holiday season. I feel like we're getting close to the weekend here. Hope your week has been great. Appreciate you for hanging out with us for a little portion of it, however much that may be. Last night, Matt McMahon and Chris Blair sat down over at TJ Ribs and chatted for an hour. I always enjoy the coaches' shows when it's a lot of Chris and the coach talking back and forth. I've been pretty transparent on my views on coaches' shows. When too many callers get involved, I think it can get a little toxic, especially after losses. But that was not the case last night. The Tigers have only lost one game this year. Chris and Matt had a chance to talk about a number of topics about this team. And I get the sense that sometimes coaches can put guards up in press conferences, just because of the nature of that situation. You're trying not to say something you don't want to say or divulge something you don't need to divulge. A little bit more relaxed environment when you're sitting there with the voice of the Tigers. So I enjoyed what I heard from Matt McMahon last night. I want to play a little bit for you here today in this segment. So Chris asked Coach some things that he thinks this team needs to improve on, and I thought he gave some good statistics to back that up.
Well, most definitely. We have a lot of areas to get better in, but the way I try and study it, if we could be perfect in every area, we'd go 40-0 every year and win the national championship every time. So we want to study what gives us the best return on our investment if we spend our practice time really emphasizing these things, spend our time studying the film with our players, emphasizing these things. And some of those that have stood out to me on the offensive end has been eliminating turnovers. And you look at Saturday's game, it was by far our best performance on the year there, 17 assists, only 7 turnovers. And then our defensive rebounding has been an area we've really tried to emphasize in practice. First 16 minutes of the Wake Forest game, they were getting almost half of their misses. The last 24 minutes, we only gave up 1 offensive rebound. We only gave up 4 offensive rebounds last night. So I hope those will be areas we continue to trend in a positive direction.
I think one of those specifically makes a lot of sense to me, and that's turnovers. This LSU basketball team is not immensely talented. Everyone that they've got has got some sort of limitation. There are no lottery picks on this team. There are no first-round picks on this team. there are no surefire NBA guys on this team. The NBA is tough to make. It's a little different than when you look at LSU football, you can point to 7 or 8 guys you know are going to play in the NFL like that. It's not as easy in the NBA. There aren't as many spaces, quite frankly. But LSU is not really, really talented. They are experienced. I believe their coach is good. And they've got some ability. They've just got to play within themselves. But one thing they've got to cut out is turnovers. Because LSU is quite honestly not good enough to play with the elite teams in the SEC just straight up. But if you start giving them possessions, especially live ball turnovers that give fast break opportunities, you've got no chance. If you can play against some of these teams and only turn it over 9 or 10 times, maximize your possessions, the math starts to work a little bit better for you. I wouldn't say it's in your favor against Tennessee or Arkansas or Kentucky, but I would say that you significantly enhance your chances. So you don't have guys on this team that are usually going to go off for 30. KJ's done it a couple times. Miller's certainly capable on a given day, but it's a little different than some of the teams they've had. You've got to do the things you can control, and you cannot turn it over. Sometimes you're going to shoot really poorly. This team's going to get beat on the glass every once in a while because they don't have elite athleticism in the post and size. But you can control the basketball. And if you can do that, like LSU did in the second half against Wake, you give yourself a much better chance, and you outscored Wake by 10 points in the second half. So that was a very, very good thing. More on from Matt McMahon last night on the Matt McMahon show on what this team's got to do.
Yeah, I think just the overall process. You and I have talked about it. The first 2 games of the year, I thought we looked like a collection of individuals who had never played together, and that's what we were at the time. I think you've seen stretches where we've played extremely well on both ends of the floor. It's just for us continuing to find consistency to be able to sustain that in longer stretches. Last night, for example, it's 23-23. I thought the last 6 minutes of the first half we were terrific. Really guarded. We only gave up 3 points down the stretch. We cleaned up on the defensive glass, enabled us to get out in transition. We really shared the basketball, and that's a fun way to play. We finished the half there 17-3 to build a nice lead. Now we just have to be able to sustain it in longer periods.
He mentioned a collection of guys that had never played together. That's what we look like, and we're getting better. We were outstanding in the second half. And I think as far as this cliche that we've used on this show, on this station, other shows have said, look, they're trying to learn, they're finding their way. To me, that's more so the personnel that have got to play. It's very clear over the last 3 weeks that Cam Hayes and Derek Fountain have taken a big step forward. Their minutes have improved, their numbers have improved, their production has improved, and LSU's been a better team for it. That's obvious. I think in terms of finding your way, it's not necessarily developing this tremendous team chemistry on the floor, because everybody in college basketball is fighting that battle. Nobody in college basketball is recruiting 4-year players, keeping everybody in their program for 3 and 4 years, and guys playing together for 3 seasons, and it culminates in tremendous third-year team chemistry. That's not college sports anymore. Transfer portal. Guys are in and out. Even the great teams in college basketball are going to other teams and finding guys. Alabama's point guard played at Ohio last year. John Calipari, king of the McDonald's All-American, king of the 5-star. He's adding junior and senior transfers every year. That's just the way the game is played now. Your Dukes and your Kansases and your Kentuckys, they're always going to have freshmen that are coming in, and they play 1 year and they're gone. You hope LSU has some of that too. But it's not about having guys that have played together and developing this chemistry over the course of 3 years. It's about the coach finding the guys on the floor that work together. It's about the coach finding out, well, Cam Hayes played 2 minutes in the opener. He needs to be out there 29 minutes. And I think that he's finding that a little bit. Does it mean LSU's figured it out and they're going to finish third in the SEC? No, it doesn't. But it means that they're making steps in the right direction. So I was encouraged on that. Now, we know that Adam Miller is going to be a really key piece to this team. He's been very, very poor shooting the basketball over the last 2 games. But Matt McMahon says he's not all that concerned.
The reality is, a lot of our offense is designed around Adam, and so we're now in game 9 and 10 here. The other team scouts too, and they're trying to be disruptive of what we want to do offensively, so we have to counter that and make sure that we're still creating high-quality shots. I thought that was a big key for us in the comeback against Wake Forest, the way Wake Forest defended Adam, really trying to face guard and deny him. He still got 10 looks. It didn't go in. That's okay, but the floor was so spaced, it opened up those pick-and-pop opportunities that you saw K.J. Williams take advantage of. It opened up those driving lanes for Juice Hill and Cam Hayes. So we just got to keep working to get better. But I told you after the game, when you have an elite shooter, someone who can really, in our drill work, a guy who's going to make 80% of his shots, I'm not one to overcoach those guys and have them, overanalyzing everything. I think, if there are some little things we can do to improve the quality of looks he's getting, we'll certainly do that. But I don't have any concern there.
Floor spacing is so important, and Matt McMahon is right. He's not concerned about Adam Miller. I'm not either. And if you're an LSU fan, you shouldn't be either. And I promise you, in the SEC opener against Arkansas, Eric Musselman is not going to look at the stat sheet and go, Miller's only 2 of his last 28 from 3. We'll back off him. No, he's going to know that's a guy who can hit 7 threes in a game. If I don't watch it, we better pay attention. That's already on tape. That reputation's already out. So, if he goes 3 months, 2 months, and can't throw it in the ocean, we might change things up a little bit. But I promise you, Arkansas will be aware of Adam Miller, and they will shade their defense towards Adam Miller, and that's going to open up driving lanes, hopefully, for Juice Hill, for Justice Williams, for Trey Hannibal, and hopefully keep a little bit of a double team off of KJ Williams at times. That was the first time I've seen a steady dose of double teams to KJ Williams in the game on Tuesday night, and I think that's going to continue because KJ is scoring at such a high level. He was not doing that early in the season. He is now. So I think there are a number of ways that LSU can stretch a defense, and Miller is going to continue to be one. I'm not worried about that at all. Last one here on Derek Fountain, who's really progressed. If you've listened over the last couple of days and watched the game on Tuesday and even on Saturday, you understand that he's made a move forward. And I enjoyed hearing Matt McMahon talk about the progression of Derek Fountain from a guy who was really a forgotten guy in the opener to a guy who's now an impact starter.
I think probably getting more comfortable with his teammates, getting more comfortable in the system and understanding where his spots are to really make an impact on the team. But I just always come back to with him, just my kind of guy, just a hard-playing dude. He's all about winning. He's all about the team. He's an elite teammate. He's a guy you want to play with because he communicates with everyone. He's a connector of people. And we chart everything we do. He has the highest winning percentage on our team since he got on campus in June. And I think that's why you've seen his confidence now start to grow. But a lot of these plays he's making are just effort plays. They're energy plays. They're hustle plays. And, really excited because we've needed it. And hopefully he will continue to improve and build upon those things.
Another part about playing with a team that's not going to be the most talented team on the floor a lot of times when you play an SEC play. Do you have guys that want to just play harder than most people? And they've seen that from Derek Fountain since the summer, and that has been rewarded with some playing time and now some production, which is very, very good. He was a bench guy for his time 2 years in Starkville, and now he has gone from a bench guy to a starter here in Baton Rouge, and hopefully more to come because he is 6'10". He does have some nice hands, and if you play really hard, a lot of times good things will happen. So this basketball team's got to take what it can, and if you can play hard, that's a start. So they've got a lot to work on, and they've got some shortcomings, and they're going to lose some games in conference play. But hopefully they continue to build momentum, continue to play a little bit better, and we'll see where the chips fall when Southeastern Conference plays starts up in a week and a half. Take a timeout, come back. LSU got a big-time commitment today. We'll tell you about him and what it means for the Tigers next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is on Palmer.
Start Week 15 off right. The NFL same-game parlay insurance from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your 4-plus leg Thursday night same-game parlay falls just one leg short. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. You can bet on Christian McCaffrey's running yards, Geno Smith passing yards, might take the over. He's thrown up pretty good this year. Build your own or choose from one of the same-game parlays that are pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. However you want to play, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night with a same-game parlay. Sign up with that promo code 1045ESPN if you don't already have an account. If you already have FanDuel, you're all set. Sign in and see what you got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Refund issued, non-withdrawable free bets. Expires 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $25. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or somebody knows has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Good news for the Fighting Tiger football program today over in the Lone Star State. Javian Toviano, a cornerback from Arlington, Texas, there at Martin High School, committed to the Fighting Tigers. He chose LSU over Texas, Texas A&M. Also had a Michigan hat on the table as well. He was going through every single hat on the table and kind of explaining why they were there. He said, Texas was my first Power 5 offer. And then he said, Michigan was kind of out of nowhere because they were far away, but they really showed me love. And then he went to A&M and he goes, A&M, I wanted to stay home. Well, I thought I wanted to stay home. And he kind of stumbled over that part when you went, oh yeah, you're not choosing A&M. And then he went to LSU, and he said while he picked up the LSU hat, he goes, that's probably where y'all think I'm going. And at that point, I'm looking at this going, oh, Lord, is he going to pull some Georgia hat from under the table? Maybe pull a Bulldog out from under the table at this point. Who knows what these commitments are going to look like. And then all of a sudden, he pulls a big duffel bag out. And the first hat he pulled out was green. So I didn't know what that was. He threw it down. And then he put on the LSU hat, and the whole family took off the sweatshirts, and they all had LSU gear on as well. So Toviano, 4-star prospect across the board, 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. According to 247, the number 58 player in the country, the number 7 cornerback in the country. If you look at On3, he's a 4-star commitment, the number 54 player in the country, the number 5 player at cornerback. This was a really, really important position for LSU to attack this year. They need to continue to do so with Desmond Ricks, and we'll see what happens with Denver Harris, and we'll see what happens moving forward with the other recruits they've got left on their board. But you pull in Javian Toviano today. You've got Dalen Austin in the boat as well from over in California. He's another 4-star that's 6 feet tall, maybe 6'1" at this point. So you're going to be pretty green at corner next year, whether it's freshmen or some transfers that you brought in that haven't played here before. But Toviano is the guy that LSU fans and recruiting insiders have thought was the first guy they needed to land, because if you listen to Shea Dixon from On3, who does just as good a job as anybody in the market in terms of recruiting, he says, watch what they do, not what they say. Where do they go? Who do they visit? How long do they stay? Do they take on officials? And Javian Toviano has continued to end up in Baton Rouge. Of course, he was here for the Alabama game, took a video of himself rushing the field after the Tigers won the game, and has not made it to other campuses, whether it be Texas or A&M, or he's just continued to show up at LSU. So some people think that Toviano projects as potentially a safety. The top-end speed is at times a little bit of a question. Most people that evaluate talent and do so for far more often and better than I do would say, look, he doesn't get blown by if he's carrying the football, which he does a little bit in high school. Not like he gets run down a lot. He's not a slow corner. There's a reason he's a top 55 player in the country by every service. It's because he can run. He's got really good size, and he's a guy that LSU had targeted. They thought they would land, and eventually they did. So, a little bit of drama with the announcement ceremony, but not too much. In the end, Javian Toviano does commit to LSU. Again, he's a 5-star by Rivals. ESPN's got him as a 4-star, 247 as a 4-star, and On3 as a 4-star as well. A guy that LSU needed to land. They've got to continue to work these corners from the high school perspective and the transfer portal. So now all eyes kind of shift toward Desmond Ricks, who will announce in about a week, and we'll see what he decides to do. Florida very much in the mix. Alabama very much in the mix. LSU trying to throw its hat in the ring. It's very interesting because you knew when Corey Raymond left LSU that you would hear from him on the recruiting trail. He is got massive ties to the state, being he was from Louisiana and coached at LSU for a decade, played at LSU. We all know this. And he's got national brand recognition with what he did while he was here in Baton Rouge. And so, he's all over Desmond Ricks, and it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Maybe he goes to Bama, and LSU, DBU loses out, and Florida loses out. Tell anybody over in the Sunshine State that I'm telling them that LSU's DBU. They don't take kindly to that, but those are the facts. And it's just, we haven't necessarily seen it play out just yet. LSU versus Florida head-to-head for a player. And it feels like LSU is right there in the mix with Florida. Now, the good news for LSU on that front with Desmond Ricks is that LSU gets the last visit. And by all accounts, Desmond Ricks' visit to Florida went great. By all accounts, Desmond Ricks' visit to Alabama went great. Just a little bit of a news flash for the folks out there. Most visits go great. You're talking about 17, 18-year-old kids who come from all different kinds of backgrounds, but the fact of the matter is you drop them into these tens of millions of dollar football practice facilities. It's pretty cool. You've got a staff waiting on you hand and foot. It's pretty cool. These celebrity head coaches they see on TV all the time, talking to you face to face and talking to your parents, pretty cool. Massive dinners, pretty cool. Going out in college campuses with your prospective future teammates, pretty cool. So, look, we all know that they roll out the red carpet all over the place. LSU gets the last shot with Desmond Ricks. So that'll be something we talk about a good bit next week. And that one's just a little bit more up in the air. You can talk to 10 recruiting experts. You probably get 3 different answers as to where they think Desmond Ricks is going to end up. But you talk to 10 different recruiting insiders about Toviano, you got 9 telling you he's headed to LSU. And that ended up being the case. And it's a very, very good thing for LSU. If you look at 247's class rankings, LSU is bumped up to number 3 in those class rankings, which is pretty impressive at this point. Alabama number 1, Georgia number 2, LSU number 3. That's the company you want to keep as far as the recruiting rankings go. When you look at On3 and their team rankings, to this point, LSU is number 5, right behind Notre Dame, Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama. So, look, you're in a very, very good spot right now, and you've got a chance to close with some really, really important players, specifically in the secondary. You understand that LSU is going to have to remake this thing from scratch once again. Last year, you brought in Garner, you brought in Bernard Converse, you brought in Fouché, you brought in Brooks, you brought in Richardson. You just continue to bring all these guys in. This year, just about all those guys are gone. So you're going to build your secondary around Major Burns, around Sage Ryan. We'll see what they do at corner. You figure Greg Brooks will be a piece there, and you got to supplement that. So I think you start at the high school ranks, and then you go to the transfer portal and hit it very, very hard. We'll keep our eyes on Denver Harris as well, as that's a guy that LSU is very much in pursuit of, is my understanding. Host Mark Ramsey brings you bite-sized Hollywood history inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast, You Talking to Me. You can listen, download, or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com. We will take a timeout, come back with David Grubb talking some Pels and some Saints next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is on Palmer.
Bayou Ford. Check out that inventory, BayouFord.com. Whether it's a Mustang, looking for an SUV, Explorer, Expedition, maybe F-150, F-250, maybe it's the Bronco you're looking at. They got it at Bayou Ford. Go to the site, BayouFord.com, and you can browse their inventory. If you're looking for something specific, they've got all those toolbars, all those search parameters with your make, model, year, all that kind of stuff, and you can search and see if they have what you're looking for. If you're not really sure and you just kind of want to look around, they've got incredible inventory right there, and you can look at every vehicle. They've got videos of every vehicle. They've got your deals. They've got all the Carfax. They've got all the information right there. If they don't have what you want, call them. Say, hey, Ben Gagne, heard Hunt Palmer talking about you on the Hunt Palmer Show. I want to get into a custom vehicle. Ben will go, all right, let's rock and roll. What you want? You'll start that process, and they will get you in the exact car that meets those specifications. And when they do, get that order in, 60 to 90 days, it'll turn right back around. They'll have it driven right to your home. That's the new era of car buying. Every new purchase at Bayou Ford, $10,000, $100,000, a 1,000,000-mile powertrain warranty. For the life of that vehicle, you will have that warranty. Bayou Ford, BayouFord.com is the website. Bayou Ford, where they're going to do right by you.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at RevelryTeam.com. Revelry Sports, the official tailgate partner of LSU Athletics.
My dad just really enjoyed his life, and he enjoyed smoking cigars and thought he was invincible. My stepdad quit smoking, and he really felt like he was in the clear. Sorry. I wish they would have been screened annually. It's not just you affect, it's your entire family.
For more information on Ochsner's free smoking cessation program and to see if you qualify for early lung screenings, visit ochsner.org/quit.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Pels back in action tonight, and we'll be up in Salt Lake. Took it on the chin into that 7-game losing streak just a couple of nights ago, but they'll have a chance to get back on the hardwood. David Grubb, Hard in the Paint, good enough to join us to talk a little bit about the Pels. David, how are you?
I'm doing well.
All right, let's talk about the game back on Tuesday night first. Obviously, you're not going to win them all, and the Pels certainly didn't win that one. The shooting percentages weren't very good. By your eye, just not knocking down shots or not creating the shots they needed to?
Well, the biggest part of that was once Zion Williamson got his third foul, that dramatically changes how the offense works and how shots get created. CJ McCollum has been struggling for a while now, so teams don't have to play him maybe the way you would if he was really going, and you don't have Brandon Ingram on the floor as a creator. So you're very limited. Your only point guard is Jose Alvarado, who's been injured after hurting his ribs, and hasn't played well since the 38-point game. So I think that's been a big part of it in that game, was just the limited options, especially once Zion went to the bench.
Any indication of how Alvarado may be feeling or what the timetable of this quote-unquote recovery will be?
I think it's hard to tell with ribs.
Yeah.
Especially when you play the way he played. You're small already, but you have to be very active. You have to be very physical, and you're driving to the basket consistently, and teams know that. And what we saw with Chris Paul might have been dirty when he got up high and went for Jose's chin. But don't be surprised if anytime he comes on the court that the opposing guard is not going to put a little jab in his ribs while he's boxing him out or while he's trying to hand check whenever he can. So I think it's just hard, and Jose's not the kind of guy who's going to want to sit, and I don't think the Pelicans can afford for him to sit when you only really have Dyson Daniels, a rookie, to handle the ball. You just called Kyra Lewis back, and he hasn't played really, outside of garbage time against the Jazz in a year.
Yeah, it's tough. David Grubb, Hard in the Paint, joins us here talking Pels, maybe a little Saints here at the end. When you have success, it breeds some expectation. And Trey Murphy just exploded on the scene, shooting the ball the way that he did, flying through the lane and throwing down a thunderous dunk. And then all of a sudden, he's missed some jump shots here over the last week or in change. Your thoughts on Murphy's play and what they can realistically expect from him consistently?
I think it's hard to get consistency for Trey. Ultimately, the best role for him would be first scorer off the bench with this group. Down the road, yeah, you want him to become a starter, a guy who's capable of giving you a double-double as a swing 3-4. But right now, you need him to be a consistent scorer. You need to. It's great that the Pelicans can find a different guy every night off the bench, but you want to have a go-to scorer coming off the bench, and Trey needs to be that. I think he struggled at times, and I think the team has struggled at times in identifying ways to get him going, to get him quick baskets in transition, to get him threes where he doesn't feel like he has to take it, a shot that's in rhythm. Because I do think sometimes he's forced a couple of those shots. But Trey, if he's consistent, you've seen it. At his very best, he is a guy capable of giving you 20 points and 7, 8, 9 rebounds and maybe a couple of blocks or a steal or two. So just such a multifaceted player, they need him to be on his best.
121-100 was the score back on Tuesday. What was a little bit more concerning to you, the Pelicans only scoring 100 or giving up 121?
That's the way they gave up the 121. They were dominated inside, and that's not what the Pelicans can afford. Every night they have to beat the other team, and they have to stop the other team from scoring around the paint. And the Jazz had more than 60 points in the paint and had 3 guys in the front court get double-doubles. So, Jared Vanderbilt was a man in that game. Kessler comes off the bench and played outstanding basketball for Utah, and they scored highly efficiently. So I think that was really concerning. And it tells you, again, the limits of the Pelicans' front court. You take Zion out of the equation, and he's already undersized physically. You don't have a lot to turn to. Billy Hernan-Gomez is not a good enough defender. We know Jackson Hayes is not a good enough defender. Jonas Valanciunas is not a good enough defender. So that's always going to be the weakness until we find some other rim protector for this team. When they get beat up front, it's hard for them to win games.
So what's the answer to stopping Vanderbilt from going 8 for 9 like he did, from stopping Michael Beasley for going for 21? How do they play on the inside?
You've got to be more physical. Guys have to box out. You have to, attack them physically and make sure they're not getting on the offensive boards, because they had 19 offensive rebounds. And that's the biggest part. That means you're not engaging people. And on a night when you're not shooting well, you've got to get back in transition. And the Pelicans didn't do that well enough, I don't think, either. They gave a lot of open shots, not just on the perimeter, but in transition. Guys able to finish just running the floor. So that's discipline. That's on how much do you want it. And I think the Pelicans did not come out with a lot of energy. They did not bring the game to Utah on Tuesday, and they better do that. The Jazz are a good team that just went through a tough stretch, and they're 2-0 against the Pelicans this season. You might want to beat them now because you're going to need these tiebreakers.
No doubt about it, Pels and the Jazz tonight. Would you think the Pels would take one of these next 2 and go home, or would they rather play them?
I think you got to try to take both of them if you're Willie Green, because you've got enough time to rest. And this team mentally can't afford to say, this is enough on a trip. If we go 4-2, that's a good trip. If we go 2-1, that's a good trip. Yeah, this team has to learn to win and play to win every night. And they're deep enough to do that without killing themselves in minutes.
David Grubb, our guest, hard in the paint. Enjoy chatting Pels and Saints with David. I look at this team. I think obviously they're in such a great spot right now. And I continue to ask the beat writers when I come on, and there's no definitive answer that we've gotten thus far. Where do we think B.I. is, and where do you think you can expect him to be back?
There is no definitive answer, and I think that's the scary thing. You're counting on B.I. to take that next step this season, and it's disheartening when you start considering that he's on pace to miss 20 games again. You've just invested in him, and you need him on the floor. When Zion goes off the court, how important a guy like Brandon Ingram is. But this injury, this lingering injury, especially when it's in your foot, and that's so vital to basketball.
Yeah.
It's a bothersome injury to me.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's got to be bothersome, but hopefully in the next week or change, and so you can get BI back out there and we can really see what this Pels team can be. Saints having trouble getting people back. It looks like the offensive line going to be intact for the Atlanta game. What do you expect the environment in the Dome to be like on Sunday?
Apathetic.
Yeah.
I think people are tired of Dennis Allen. They want to see some type of for the first time in a very long time, it feels like the team and the city are disconnected. And that, to me, means that there's going to be some hostility in the Superdome pretty quickly if things don't go well. This is the Falcons. This is a rookie quarterback. Andy Dalton, and bless his heart, because it's not his fault. But if he does anything wrong, it's going to be merciless. And I think that, you should, at this point, you're looking at the Falcons and they're 5-8, and they have a legitimate chance still to win this division. The Saints have a chance to at least finish 500 in this division, and by some maybe miracle get to the playoffs. But I don't think they're going to have a home field advantage, and the Superdome hasn't been a home field advantage what feels like for more than a year now.
Sad where this place was in 2019. You have the COVID year of 2020, and then things have gone the way they have the last couple of seasons. It's just hasn't been the buzz in the city that there had been for better than a decade. So we'll see how things go on Sunday. I've asked a couple of guys this, and so I want to get your thoughts on it as well. I look at the Panthers, and I see a team that's fired his coach and had an XFL guy playing quarterback. I look at the Bucs, who have some old players, and their quarterback is on his last leg, and I'm willing to say that without fear of repercussion. And then I look at the Falcons, who have benched their quarterback, and they're going with a rookie this week. If you had to bet on an NFC South team over the next 2 seasons, starting with September of next year, who's going to win the most regular season games in the NFC South over the next 2 years?
Sadly, I'm going to say the Panthers. I just feel like I can't ever trust the Falcons to do the right thing. I've seen the Panthers put together a successful organization. And I think they have a very good defense, and I think they still have some playmakers. That quarterback question is the killer for them. But we've also seen them win with mediocre quarterback play if their defense is good enough. So I think Tampa Bay is about sunk because Tom Brady is going to take that organization down with him. And the Saints, I have no clue where they're going to go for a quarterback, a head coach, or how they're going to replace some of these injured and aging players.
Well, I asked Sharif Ishak. He said the Saints. I asked Luke Johnson. He said the Falcons. I asked you. You said the Panthers. So everybody but the Bucs getting a vote here. It's fascinating, and I think at the very least it could give Saints fans a little bit of hope that, hey, we don't know what's going on here, but nobody else in the division had this figured out either.
Nobody.
It's crazy because there have been some really good teams that have come out of this division, and it just appears that everybody's just a little bit lost. David, we appreciate the time. Have a great weekend.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. That is David Grubb, Hard in the Paint podcast. Helps us out with the Pelicans as well as the Black and Gold. We'll take a time out, come back, and close it up, a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I had a great chat this morning with David Duvall of One Bath and Closets, and I know you guys are checking out the website, and I know y'all are calling David because he is busy. There's a reason he's busy, because he's awesome at what he does. If you are in the market for a new bathroom or a new closet in your home, David Duvall and One Bath and Closets, that is your stop. Look, I love the stuff they can do with the bathrooms. If it's not just a full-scale bathroom remodel, maybe just a tub-to-shower conversion. Take that tub out, put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower, can totally change your bathroom and your living experience. And on the closet side, we've all got so much clutter in the closets. We don't have effective space. Let David Duvall and his crew come in and put in a custom closet. And I'll tell you this, I got a new special for you right here via the Hunt Palmer Show. If you call David Duvall, One Bath and Closets, and have them come in and remodel your closet, no labor charge, no labor for tearing out the old unit, no labor for installing the new one. You just pay for the product. No labor at One Bath and Closets if you tell them that the Hunt Palmer Show sent you over there. How great would your bedroom look? How much more functional could your closet be? Guess you don't know until you call One Bath and Closets. start with that free consultation, get that questionnaire, and have them get a new closet put into your home. It's not a great time to move. Doesn't mean you can't improve your living space. And I promise you this, they'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. One Bath and Closets at onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Fast moving Thursday. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Those of you in the Bayou Ford chat, throw us a like if you would. I'd appreciate it. I'm about to hit like. There we go. Went from 35 to 36. How about that? Throw us a couple more, Bayou Ford chat. We certainly appreciate it. Can't get out of here without doing what we do each and every day. Take it or leave it, Taylor Sharp.
Bobby Petrino has accepted the offensive coordinator job. I'm devastated that he didn't choose A&M for Barry Odom at UNLV. Jimbo hires an OC by Christmas. Take it or leave it.
Surely I have to take this, right?
I'll take it.
They've been looking for an OC for a month, and for 3 weeks and change. I got to think they're going to go ahead and hire one, but they haven't. I just assume they're going to figure it out over there in College Station, but maybe that's a little bit too great an assumption.
CBS's Tom Fornelli writes a bottom 25 every week and crowns a dubious champion every single year. This year, his bottom 25 champion is none other than the Colorado Buffaloes. Dion will have the Buffaloes in a bowl game next year. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Why not? If you can win 4 non-conference games. I don't know who they've got on their schedule that's not in the Pac-12. And then you just got to win 2 games in the league. You got to figure you can do that. It's not that hard to get into a bowl game. So I don't know that I have massive expectations for Deion. I think a lot of people do. A Colorado job's a little bit tougher than Jackson State based on the competition that you play. Not a lot of Mississippi Valley States and Akron States on that schedule up there at Colorado. So it's going to be a little more difficult to win games. But I think he can win 6. So I'll go ahead and say that I'll take that.
The University of California Regents voted to approve UCLA's move to the Big Ten yesterday. The Bruins will soon be a real factor in Big Ten football. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I think this helps them as far as national marketability. The Pac-12's television contract is so bad, and they play so late at night at times that I feel like people don't pay attention, especially if you're a 7-5 UCLA team, which they usually have been. So you're just kind of off the radar. You start playing Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and you start playing at a better time of day on a better TV channel. I think it helps. But I just don't know that it's going to make them a real force, where I think USC with Lincoln Riley will be. I think Jim Harbaugh's got it figured out in Michigan. I think Penn State's pretty functional. I think, we'll see what Wisconsin can do with the new staff in there. No one cares about UCLA. It's just pathetic that they're giving tickets away. Nobody's in the stadium. They were good this year, and nobody cared about it. So that just hurts. It hurts your environment when you're trying to recruit people and bring people in for visits, and it's just going to be difficult, I think. So I think it's a good move for them financially, and I think that they could elevate themselves a little bit, but you're just going to have to play better teams. So I don't think you're going to be a real factor. I'll go ahead and leave that.
They're all going to watch the Lakers win big games.
Huge games.
The 49ers are a 3-point favorite tonight against Seattle on Thursday Night Football, with Brock Purdy expected to play despite being listed as questionable. Seattle +3, take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
I don't feel great about it, quite frankly. But Seattle's played pretty well all year, and I was on record on Monday saying, Brock Purdy played really well, and that roster's really good. And that was a nice win for them on Sunday. It looked really good. The Bucs looked terrible. But I don't think Brock Purdy's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't think it's a Nick Foles reincarnate story. I think that he comes down to earth. So give me Seattle. I'll take the points. Their quarterback's playing better. The rosters 1 to 53 are not comparable, but I think the quarterback play makes a difference, and Gino's better. So I'll go ahead and take San Francisco in the points and hold my nose.
All right, last one here. Marcus Mariota was informed that he will not be the starting quarterback moving forward in Atlanta, so he left the team and is now on IR. Not starting? Well, I'm out. Take it or leave it.
I got to leave this. This is what Mariota did. If you haven't heard this story, essentially they said, we're going to go with Ritter. And Marcus Mariota just left. And they asked Coach Smith about this, and Arthur Smith was like, he's out. It's not related to anything that happened on the field, and I don't expect him back. He'll be on IR. And then they were like, is he really hurt? And Arthur Smith's like, I'm not a medical expert, okay? Which basically says, I'm certain he's not hurt. He just had a kid. He's ticked off he's not going to be the starter, and we're going with Ritter, so he just left. And we need the roster spot, so we're putting him on IR so we can bring somebody in here who will actually participate in team drills. I don't like this move by Mariota at all. I think that it's your job to be a part of the team and to try to win football games. If that means you're the starting quarterback, you go out there and play. If it means they're going with the other guy, it's your job to be there and to participate and to be ready to play if your number is called, should they need you. And I just don't think he's hurt based on the answers that Arthur Smith gave and the tone with which he gave them. If he would have come in and said, he's been battling, and we appreciate it, but he just couldn't do it anymore, and we're going to go ahead and get it fixed, and we'll look forward to him rejoining the team when he can. That's not what he said. He said, it's not related to anything that we saw, and he's going to go on IR, we think. That just tells me there's disconnect. There's a pouty quarterback who's ticked off because he got benched, and I don't like that. I don't like this NBA stuff where I just hold out and don't play because I don't want to. I just think if you're employed and they're paying you, you should go out there and play and be a part of the team. Maybe I'm old school and naive. Maybe the world doesn't work like that anymore. Every situation's different. This one just doesn't look very good to me. And if I'm looking for a starting quarterback and I know that Marcus Mariota did this, he's not going to be mine anytime soon. That's just the way I would look at it. But again, the world may have changed and athletes have all the power, and here we are. So whatever. That's your edition of Take It or Leave It here on a Thursday. Missed any of the show? You can catch it on demand as always, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Anywhere you find your audio, or in YouTube's case, your video, you can find us at The Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate y'all locking us in. On today's show, we started things off with Purdue essentially falling apart before the Citrus Bowl. Their quarterback, their number one wideout, the number one tight end, their head coach, they're all gone. So what does Purdue have? They got Drew Brees. We talked about that in the first segment. Stefan Krasnick jumped on. He covers Mississippi State for the Jackson Clarion Ledger, talking about the week that has been up in Starkville. Luke Johnson on the Black and Gold, as always, on Thursdays at 1:30. My best win and worst loss in the NFL at 1:45. We opened up the second hour with Matt McMahon sound from his coach's show last night, talking about this LSU basketball team. Javian Toviano, newest member of LSU's recruiting class. He committed earlier today. I told you what that means at 2:15. And David Grubb from Hard in the Paint with you at 2:30. Excited for a Friday show, getting you ready for the weekend. But first, you got the rest of your Thursday. Jimmy Ott's Game Time coming at you at 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock. Matt's going to drive you home 3 to 6. Have a great Thursday night, everybody. We're back tomorrow on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.